Today's video, we're going to talk about offering teaser services on Google Ads search ads. How this will multiply your profits exponentially once you introduce this into your Google search advertising strategy. Now, this is also going to be a turnkey way to also get display ads working for your brand, which if you know anything about this or haven't believed in them before, you're missing out on 2/3 of the profit you can make in your niche market through the use of your Google Ads account. Why? Because there's a lot of people that are in market for your service or products that you're not tapping into that'll never click on your search ads. This strategy here will get 2 to 3 times as many people to click on your search ads once you implement it. But the other 80% of people who never click on your ads, unfortunately, you got another 10, 20 whacks at them once you implement this strategy to follow them up after as well, which I'm going to talk about also in this video. But this is primarily about, since most of you guys, you want more out of search ads so that you can get more out of what you already got going, this is your turnkey way to do it. Now, this strategy here is about teaser services. So basically what you're doing is you're going to offer, when somebody wants X, you're going to offer Y. And you may say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Isn't Google search ads supposed to give people what they want? And it is, but people want a cheaper price and they want a deal. I don't care who they are, how much money they have, and that will generally work the best on Google search ads. Now you just got to make and find a way to make it work. I'm going to show you 3 separate examples of this where we did this for different companies and different service markets. So you can see how well this multiplies your profits once you do it. So stay to the end of the video. I'll go through the hard numbers on how well this strategy works and of course how to implement it for your own brand. So maybe you don't want to do it, don't want the extra free profit, that's okay. But at least you know you got a strategy that you could pull out at any time once you're in a situation where you got to instantly dial it up. That's the main thing I would tell you here. Most people want a cheap price at your company, even rich people. Because the thing is, people just think ultimately, hey, the best thing to do to try to attract rich people is to focus on quality. Now, when you're talking about luxury, true luxury, yeah, that's basically true. But when you're talking about everyday average services like cleaning services, roofing services, stuff like this that people don't necessarily normally think of as roofing or as luxury, people want a deal. For God's sakes, look at Warren Buffett here. The richest guy wants a deal. Okay, you may say a lot of people don't care. Well, a lot of people aren't Warren Buffett. They don't care about a deal. Yes, there's people who wipe their ass with $100 bills. They don't care about money whatsoever. Most people, though, as a whole, when you're trying to figure out some angle to put on your Google ads, mentioning that you have a deal for them is the best way to go about doing it. That's going to get the maximum click-through. And I know because I test thousands of ads and have, I should say, over the last decade plus of running literally over 1,000 different accounts at this particular point, dozens at any given time. This is your number one go-to, or should be, because this is the angle that works the most. You can only, though, lower, of course, your prices so much before your margins are crap and you're not going to make any money anymore. I get this because I know what you're thinking, Corey. I already operate on thin margins, which, by the way, funny enough, everybody says, oh, I only have so much margins. I only... Everybody's margins suck. They tell me that. The reality, though, is your margins suck because you suck as a business owner. You don't know how to upsell. You don't know how to cross-sell. You don't know how to sell something again to somebody. You don't know how to sell value. So you have better margins. Ultimately, it's your own fault for the most part. That said, you're in your situation you're in now because you haven't done this stuff and you can't lower your prices. So what do? To take advantage of the fact that everybody basically wants a deal, at least for your roofing service that isn't thought of as a sunglasses that they wanted to be luxury, which, of course you could turn your roofing service into a luxury roofing service. Not to say you couldn't. That would be a feat though. What you do instead here is you offer a teaser service. So essentially you take what you got, you find a stripped down version of it, and then you market that instead so that people are initially attracted to the low price on your ad. They're going to click through it 2, 3, 4, 5x the rate they normally would have. You get a lot more click share and market share as a result. And then you just got to find a way to make sure that they're not totally disappointed after contacting you already, ultimately. And that's where the massive increases in profit actually come from, and you clean up in your market. This isn't actually bait and switch, because what you're doing is you're legitimately offering something different that's cheaper to them. You're not saying, hey, here's the price, but really the price is this. I mean, you can do that, and that does typically work better than not doing it in a lot of different markets as well, in commodity service markets. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about you're offering rhinoplasty services, nose jobs, and you instead offer that uses injections to make your nose shape differently. But what people don't consider is they don't say to themselves that if you are the nose plastic surgery clinic, they don't say, okay, well, how can I get more people to click on my ad? Given that more people click through, more patients I get, also, the cheaper the patients will be, because the higher the click-through rate, the lower your cost per click is going to be, naturally at the same time as well. They don't say, well, I have 3 different nose services here. If they're looking for specifically this nose service here, do I really have to offer them this service when I got these 2 overall alternatives over here to offer them? That's what you need to be asking yourself. Or if you don't have 3 different roofing services, if you're a roofer, then we'll come up with something that's cheaper. Find something that's cheaper. Why? Because it matters so much how much you're going to make with Google Ads based upon what you're going to be able to put on that ad. Of course, you can get clever with your language and all that on your ad copywriting and on your ad, and you can get more click-through on your ad that way. Absolutely. 2-3x higher than the average person's going to get just by clever writing. However, nothing's going to beat having an offer on the ad that's better than your competition, that people instantly inherently know what you're doing is different. That should be your first thing that you go for. And then add on the clever copywriting on top of that, and then you're going to get astronomical profit. So I'm going to give you several examples of this in actual where we're using it today and the numbers that it produces, so you understand exactly what I'm talking about here, so you can implement it on your own site for your own company here. The key thing that as I go through this here is you have to be open-minded in order to make a lot of money with advertising. If you try to do and say to yourself, well, my competitor isn't doing it, so we can't, well, it probably doesn't work. That is loser mentality, ultimately. Google Ads is set up so that 10-20% of the market makes 80% of the profit. I tell you this inherently as a person who manages 50 different accounts at any given time and has to guarantee results to their clients to get paid. I'm not this isn't a channel to blow smoke up your ass and tell you what you want to hear. Therefore, it's not worth honestly doing unless you're going to go all the way with it. It's not. It's like trying to go on a diet by eating shit food and then be like, well, I'll eat a little bit less and blah, blah, blah. That's what I want to do. You're wasting your time. Either go through with the actual efforts of it, or you just say, I'm going to be overweight, screw it. Pick a side here, basically, number one. And then once you've done this, now you can actually, once you've accepted, okay, I'm not just going to do what the competitor's doing. I'm going to figure out how to do better so I can beat my competition legitimately, so that Google wants to promote my ads. My ads show up at the top. They're going to charge me way less than everybody else, and I'm going to be that 10% that makes 80% of the money. Once you're there, now you could ask yourself, okay, what would people legitimately want that I could offer that my competition's not offering on their ads, that everybody will just go for my ad? That's what you want to ask yourself. And the easiest way, like I said at the start of this video already, is you offer a cheaper price. But again, you can't offer a cheaper price when you only have some finite margins. So what do? Come up with an alternative, a bait product or service, if you will. First one, I already talked about this market here in the plastic surgery market. We had a plastic surgeon, which I got this idea initially for this particular market from a subscriber, and then we tested it, and I know that it works here. And here's the numbers that we got. Thank you, subscriber, which you know who I'm talking about. We took our rhinoplasty keywords. We targeted them. Instead of targeting rhinoplasty people, we targeted them with a nose contouring ad. But what we did was, as what you should likely do, is obfuscate the truth here a little bit on your ad. If you were the plastic surgeon, instead of saying, if they're typing in rhinoplasty services, instead of saying nose contouring services, which are the injections versus the surgery like I was talking about before, you don't say nose contouring for 1.5K. You say nose services starting at 1.5K. or no service at 1.5K, something like this that obfuscates what it is that you're offering. Yes, you can already tell yourself, be closed-minded here and say, oh, this is not right, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, sales and marketing is about getting people in your business that pay at the cheapest rate possible and not lying to people when they're plunking their money down on the barrel. You got to do what you got to do to get them to click on your ad. So you're not lying to them. You're essentially just making it to where they ultimately don't exactly fully know what you're marketing until they've talked to you already. So what we did is exactly that. We mentioned services starting at 1.5K, which the average nose job, if you're not aware with this market, is about $6,000. Now, here are the numbers. In terms of rhinoplasty, the ads that we offer the rhinoplasty on it, we didn't mention the price. We were getting about a 30% closing rate on our leads that we did get, and an average about $25 a lead. So we were already making money, but wanted to make more. And for me, every single client that I work with now, I'm asking the question, can we do a teaser service? This is like guaranteed extra money if you have the balls basically to offer it and do it. So that's the baseline. Now, what did we get when we said prices starting at XYZ? Given that, again, most people just want a deal, even if they're rich, because that's the way people are. We went from closing rate of 30% on the nose jobs to 23% closing rate, which you may say to yourself, wow, right away, you really got 23% of the people that responded to still close into an actual full nose job, not nose contouring? Yes, we did. Which is why you want to do this, by the way, because once they hear the two options, nose job, nose contouring, and then they realize they got to keep coming in for service on the nose contouring, they're just going to go for the nose job anyway. That's why it works so well. And we paid $14 for a lead versus the 25 before, which the higher the click-through rate, the lower your cost per lead is because of the reduction in cost per click you're going to have. And that's always the case. So yes, you're going to experience a drop in conversion rate on our closing rate on the leads, but you're going to get also a drop in your cost per lead to go along with it, and it'll probably even itself out. But you know what it will do though? Here's the headline. It's going to double your click-through rate on your ad. So you get twice as much market share. And as a result of that, our profit went up 204% overall, even though our closing rate went down on the ad click-throughs and the leads that we were getting. This shows you the power of this particular strategy. If you can just be open-minded and think outside the box and figure out something you could offer on your ad that you can announce a cheap price on the ad that they thought was impossible, get them into a sales pitch, explain their options, and then just divert them to the expensive option anyway. So that's example number one. Example number two, roof installation. So this is a market where, of course, if they're not buying right away, it's because they don't have the 20 grand for a roof, if you don't know the market. Our client average roof is about $15,000. You're getting on these search ads about 20% closing rate and paying about $150 a lead. It's profitable, but it can be more profitable if we pull out this strategy here, this teaser strategy. This is what I call it. Now, how did we have something we could offer cheaper? Again, we're not going to be a half of a man here would just say, well, let's just offer the roofing at 20% off and cut into our margins, or 10% off and cut into half of our margin to make this work, blah, blah, blah. So we could say on our ad 10% discount for month of August. That's only going halfway with it. Actually, not even halfway, like 20% of the way with this strategy. What could be possible with it? What you really want to do is find out another way for them to fix their roof that's way cheaper, that you could then say on your ad how cheap it is. People don't understand that they can recoat the roof with special coating, which will fix the problem without having to re-roof, which is a perfect way to do this, by the way, in this market. And so what we did is we had an ad that said new roof starting at 1K, which they're thinking, holy shit, this is too good to be true. Yes, but it's so still good. I just have to contact them just to see what the hell. Even if there's a 1% chance I can get a roof for $2,000-3,000 instead of $15,000, I'm going to find out damn well what it is. So with that, which a roof coating by itself is only like $1,000. We had a 6% closing on the leads that we got into a new roof, which is way less than before, where we're closing 20%. So yes, a bunch of these people are like, oh, F that. I don't want a damn roof coating. You know, I don't want it. But our cost per lead was so much less because we got such a higher click-through rate putting that on our ad that we were getting a $65 lead cost. So our cost per lead almost went down a similar percentage as the closing rate went down as well. And so basically it was a wash. That would be, and if that's all that happened and all we looked at, it's pointless to have done this. However, here, we got a lot more crack at business than we would otherwise. We got 3 times as many people to click on the ad here than we would have had otherwise, because the ad was so much of a magnet for the users looking for roof installation services. Then we got 3 times the volume of clients through search ads because we had this on our ad. When we figured out a way to make the sales pitch in which we can still get at least a third of the people that responded to buy our new roof from us anyway. And that's really all you need. If you can do that, then you'll make more money with this particular strategy, of which got us a 291% increase in profitability. When I say profitability, I mean profits from our baseline going with this particular model of doing business on our search ads than just doing it the boring way where you just simply try to say, roofing company, 20 years in business, A+, BBB rated, and just trying to get as many as you can that way. Because that's still going to be profitable if you've done everything else I talk about on this channel right, but it's not going to get you the astronomical returns that the alternative way that I just mentioned will do it. So that's a second example of how this can actually be done. And most of you guys are going to say, well, that works in those markets. It won't work in mine because there's not really anything else I can offer. I can't really reduce my prices. It's not going to work. If you are saying this to yourself, by the way, let me know in the comment section. I guarantee you I could come up with a teaser offer for you that'll work. So you can't say to yourself, well, this is impossible. It won't work in our market, whatever. Because I know that I could come up with one. I've come up with these enough where I know I can do it. And for that matter, if you have any other questions, always leave me a comment in the comment section because I get back to everybody who leaves me a comment in the comment section. If you want to reach out to me through my Discord group, which I'm active in, you can find that link in the video description. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should. We've got the best content you're going to find online about how to make money with ads on this channel because I've got 20 years of experience running ads for 1,000+ different clients that are already at this stage. Also, if you haven't seen my blog yet on my site, and you like the channel already, you should check it out on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. Beyond this as well, if you want to contact me for a private coaching call, I got that through my site at guaranteedppc.com, of which I also do done-for-you PPC management services where we guarantee your results up front before charging management fees. You can reach out to me through my site for that, as well as templates that we have available. If you are in a market that we've been in already, I can tell you the winning ads, landing pages, all of it that work for your market, of which I can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front before you use it. And as long as you're in a different city or country that our client's been in, then you can use it in your market. And it's all fair game. So if you're interested in that, also let me know through my site. Now, going into the final example here. Now, the 2 things that I just mentioned were the most ideal way to do this particular teaser strategy because you don't legitimately have to change what you're making at all on each sale in terms of the margin itself. That's what you want to do. If for whatever reason you feel like you just cannot come up with a teaser offer at all, like it's just literally impossible, then you can go more so like with this general approach, which is not as good, but it's a great secondary option for you. Which with that is what you do is like what we did in the garage door repair space. You actually, instead of offering like, when somebody types in garage door repair services near me, you have an ad that says, 20 years of experience, blah, 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 and getting a 40%-ish closing rate on our leads like our client did before and paying about $75 a lead, which is a great cost per lead in and itself. You have on your ad instead something that says $29 service call, which the person in their mind's thinking, holy shit, $29 service call, that's cheap. I'm going to go for that one. Even though you cannot make money legitimately, obviously, charging $29 for a service, you're going to be paying that in terms of gas cost and the vehicle cost and all this shit, driving out to them almost. I mean, practically speaking, not really, but you get my point. But that kind of obfuscates the truth here a little bit, obviously, because you're not charging $29 for your services, you're charging $29 for a service call. So you did not say when you get there, you're charging for parts. So if you don't know anything about the garage door repair market, the hustle, just in case your garage door ever breaks, the hustle is in marking up the parts. We're talking about a garage door spring costing $20 in terms of the part itself, and damn garage door repair company charging $200. Or if it's in some rich neighborhood, they might charge $2,000 for it. There's like no limit. It's just like, what do we think we could charge them and they'll say yes to it anyway. And the richer they are, the more likely they'll say yes to an obscene price. And that's kind of like that dynamic pricing is how you make great money in that business. As kind of asshole-ish as that may be, that's how the market works. So I'm not in the market. I'm not doing it. So don't come at me telling me I'm an asshole. I'm not doing it. I'm just telling you what these guys do. To each of your own businesses, be as ethical as you want to be. We went from a 40% closing rate originally without having the $29 service call in our ad to a 30% closing rate So basically unaffected closing rate basically on the leads that we got in terms of them being willing to pay for the service and the parts and everything after we got there. And though we paid a lot less per lead than we started with, so instead of $75 a lead, which is already really good in that market, to $45 a lead, which is obscenely good in that market, of which, by the way, works, at least in this market, because once you're already out there and they need the damn garage door fixed, the last thing they want to do is go call another company and meet with another company and blah, blah, blah. You pretty much got them once you're out there already. So whatever you need to say to get them to let you come out there, whatever that takes, do it, because they're not going to bail out at that point in time. Yes, if you charge $20,000 for a garage door repair spring, they're not going to do it. But if you're charging a fair price for the work in terms of the parts, when you get there, they're not going to just back out because you said $29 on the ad. This case study is evidence of this, but if you didn't know, that's the way that it is. Maybe in some markets it wouldn't work that way, such as if you were doing chimney repair services, you wouldn't be able to say $29 service call, them getting there and then them closing at slightly less of a rate than they would otherwise, if you will, because it may attract, obviously as a whole, cheaper people, of which they're not going to have the money for the $3,000 repair that you need. So I don't want to say this would be how it lines up for you in your market for sure, but it will still generally be worth it for you to do because of the increase in click-through rate you're going to get on your ad, like we did here, doubling in click-through rate, roughly speaking, and increasing our profit we made by 341% overall because massive increase in click-through rate, and then also on top of it, in this case, reduction in the cost per lead on top of everything else. So that's the type of thing you can do if you don't have an alternative offer or cross-sell, downsell, if you want to call it downsell, in your market that you can use. That's your alternative way. I don't recommend this. If you have to use it, use it. Or if you do use this method, use it and then try to figure out a legitimate downsell product or service to offer because you'll probably make even more. With that said, I pretty much mapped out everything that I wanted to go over here in terms of teaser strategies, how to come up with one, how well they work. Let me know if you have any questions about your market down in the comment section, as I mentioned before, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.